Good evening, folks. Robert from the Gup Chup channel. This morning I received a call from my friend May, and she said to me, "Robert, what's cooking on the menu today?" And she suggested to me that I should look at making a chicken mulligatawny curry or soup. She said to me, "Winter is coming and it'd be good to know how to make this quintessential Anglo-Indian dish." So I said, alright, why not? I'll have a look at my grandmother's recipe and we'll give it a go. So here I am. So first of all, for this dish you need chicken. Normally you'd use breast chicken for this dish, but today I've had a chicken in the fridge for a while, so I just thought I'd chop it up, I've de-skinned it, and there you go, one fresh organic chicken, about 4 to 5 bay leaves, about 2 sprigs of curry leaves, and these curry leaves are from my tree in the garden. In fact, this was given to me by my friend May, and they have really taken well in the garden. We also need some dried red chilies. Then we have 2 teaspoons of cumin powder, 2 teaspoons of coriander powder, 1.5 teaspoons of turmeric. Then we have 1.5 teaspoons of cayenne pepper along with some sweet paprika. We need fresh coconut milk. Today I've chosen to use some coconut cream, and I'll dilute that with some water, and then it'll be just as good as having fresh coconut milk. Lemons, very key important ingredient of this dish. You can use limes as well. Lime flavor is great with this dish. These lemons are from my tree as well. Then you need about 2 cups of red lentil, about 1 liter of chicken stock. You need 1.5 cups of raw rice, but I've decided to use rice that's already been pre-prepared, and that's basmati rice. A medium-sized onion chopped, some ginger, and there you have it, some fresh Australian garlic. You'll need some salt to taste at the end, but because I've used chicken stock that is not low in salt, I would taste the dish first and see whether the salt's enough at the end of it. So folks, let the magic begin, and let's see how we're going to prepare this very quintessential Anglo-Indian dish, chicken mulligatawny soup. Okay, so here we start the magic. You need a deep pan for this because it's a soup and we're going to slow cook it. So in a deep pan, heavy base bottom, add some oil. Let the oil start to get nice and hot. You'll see the oil start to bubble a little bit, and when it starts to smoke, then you know that the oil is nice and hot. And we're going to be ready for the next ingredient, which we'll normally add the onions in. There you go, you can start to hear the onions sizzle. Can turn the heat up a little bit. As you can see now, the onions are starting to sizzle. The oil is just about right. Wow, you can get that glorious smell of onions frying. After cooking the onions and tossing them around in the pan for a few minutes, You can see that they're starting to brown a little bit on the edges. Then add the chopped garlic. And wow, look at that. And add the chopped ginger. That's enough. We won't use all the ginger. Probably cut a bit of a big piece. Now give this a good stir for a few minutes. Just make sure that the ginger, garlic and the onions don't get burnt and stick to the pan. The ginger and garlic and the onions have been frying for a few minutes. Now get ready to add the dried chilies in. I like to normally break the chilies up so that the seeds, a bit of heat comes out from the seeds of the chili. This is your personal preference. If you don't like it too hot, you don't have to use so many chilies. For me, these dried red chilies are not that hot, but that's a very personal. As you can see, the ginger, garlic is getting stuck to the bottom of the pan. Just make sure that you stir this. Keep stirring it. You don't want it to get burnt and you don't want to get caught at the bottom of the pan. You can reduce the heat a little bit at this stage. It's preferable not to add any water at this stage, and in the preparation of any Indian curry, the water goes last after all the ingredients are fried well and the raw smell and the raw taste has come out from it. Now that looks good. I'm not going to add the coriander and cumin powder. I'm going to add the paprika and the cayenne pepper. And wow, things are coming along quite well here. This aroma, this smell of ginger, garlic, cayenne pepper, red chilies. Add the turmeric in. Now we need to fry this for a few minutes as well. As you can see, once you add the powders in, there's a tendency for this to stick a little bit to the bottom of the pan. So what I would suggest, add a little water at this stage. You can add a tiny bit of water at this stage, and there you see it, that lovely whoosh, that lovely smell. Wow, look at that. The colors have already become nice and dark. The aroma is just simply fantastic at this stage. This aroma is better than Chanel No. 5 perfume. Let that sit for a few minutes. Now we are going to add 1 sprig of the curry leaves. I'm going to give this a nice fry with the masala. It's nothing like fresh curry leaves being fried in a pan. Sort of that very fragrant smell you will get. Smell is the essence of cooking. You know you're on track when you get the right smells. I think smell is the essence for many things in one's life. Give that a good stir. Leave that to fry for a few minutes, and then we'll come back to this. As you can see now, the oil is starting to separate from the other ingredients. And that's a sign that the heat is right and the masalas, the powders have all cooked well and the rawness has come out of the spices. Now we're going to add the main ingredient, which is the chicken. You can turn the heat up a little bit. Now you want the chicken to be coated with all these beautiful spices. So give this a good mix in the pan. As you can see, getting caught to the bottom of the pan, so at this stage we can add a little bit of chicken salt. Chicken stock I should say, not salt. That would just release the spices from the bottom of the pan. And this will start to coat the chicken. Let that fry on the pan, about medium to high heat for a few minutes, and then we'll come back to this. We've let this fry in the pan for about 5 minutes or so. As you can see now, the spices, the masalas have got nice and infused and coated to the chicken pieces. The chicken has changed color as well, which is good. Some of the spices still stuck to the bottom of the pan, but not to worry, we're soon going to add the liquid in, which will dissolve all the spices that are stuck to the bottom of the pan. At this point, I'm going to add the lentils. Give the lentils a good stir as well. You want the lentils to fry a little bit with all the spices in it. And now I'd add the bay leaves into the mix. Just give this a stir for about a few minutes and then add the chicken stock. Now let the stock along with the lentils and the other spices come to a boil, and then we will cover this for about 20 minutes on a medium flame to let the chicken cook and to soften the lentils. Wow, this is just looking absolutely fantabulous. The smell, the color, all adding to what will be a beautiful chicken mulligatawny soup. As you can see, the chicken and the liquid has come to a boil. Now reduce the heat, cover the pan, and let this cook for about 20 or 25 minutes. And then we'll take the lid off and see what magic has been created in this pan. Now I've left this to cook for about 15 minutes or so. I've just taken the lid off to just see whether the lentils are starting to soften. Look at the consistency of the mixture. You don't want this soup too thin and you don't want it too thick. But at the moment it seems fine, though I will add a little bit water at this point in time. There you go. Just going to add a touch of water, put the lid back, and allow this to cook for about another 5 or 10 minutes or so. Now this has been cooking for about 20-25 minutes now. So let's take off the lid and see the magic underneath the lid. And wow, look at that. That looks very, very enticing. Juices from the chicken starting to come out, the chicken starting to break up. As I said, I've used a whole chicken. You need chicken breast for this, so the meat's just falling off the bone, and the stock from the bone as well is adding some more flavor and will be flavoursome. So let me just give this a taste and see where we are at. And wow, that is so delicious. Amazing. And we still got a few more amazing ingredients to put in. Now at this point in time, I'd just like to give you a bit of history of mulligatawny. Mulligatawny actually is a British Indian dish, and the word mulligatawny comes from the Dravidian Tamil word which means pepper water. Now there are many versions of this dish. You can add vegetables in, you can add celery, you can add tomatoes, you can add carrots in it. People do it differently, or you can continue to prepare it to its traditional pepper water flavor. I will add some pepper in a bit later in the end, but for the time being I'm just going to add the coconut milk in, which I told you I mixed coconut cream, diluted coconut cream with some water. Now we just give this a good stir. Now we're going to cover the lid, and wow, the flavor of the coconut smell is just amazing at this point in time. So we're going to cover the lid and let that sit for another 5 or 10 minutes. We've allowed this to cook for another 10 minutes or so. Now I'm going to remove the lid and see how the liquid is traveling, assess the consistency. When I tasted it before, I did find that the salt was a little bit less, but that's a very personal preference. I do like a lot of salt, and I think this dish does need a little bit of extra salt because of the combination of the the combination of the lentils along with the chicken. So I'm just going to add 2 teaspoons of salt. And as I said, you can cook it to its traditional recipe of pepper water, but I like to use this version of the recipe and then sprinkle a whole lot of black pepper in it. You can use powder, or as I'm doing, grinding the whole pepper. Once again, you can taste for personal preference. Let's see what it tastes like now. Wow, that's just good. So good, so good. And the ginger being whole. Once again, ginger whole in a lentil dish, there's something very, very special about this taste. We are not far away now from completing one of the very important ingredients, which is the lemon juice. Because the lemon juice just adds another level of taste to the coconut milk, to the spices. I can get the kick of the pepper. I can also get the kick from the red chili seeds. Wow, this is a true quintessential Anglo-Indian dish on a good cold winter's evening. This has been cooking now for a few minutes, about 5 minutes or so. let's take a look. Yep, the grains of the lentils have started to break up and they're mashed up. Some people at this stage would like to use a hand blender and blend the liquid. That's once again a personal choice. If you choose to do that, that's fine. I don't. I still like the grains to be a little bit whole. And now I'm going to squeeze the lemons in. And this is just going to take the flavor to another notch. Sourness with coconut milk. This is a very, very unique and special taste. That's one lemon. I'm going to use probably another smaller lemon. This one, there's not a lot of juice in it. But you need the sourness. This dish should have sourness, should have some heat in it from either pepper or red chili seeds. This is what makes a good mulligatawny. Give this a stir, and I'm going to taste this and see how all this has blended up. Wow. Sweetness, sourness, coconut, crunchy pieces of ginger, chicken stock, black pepper, curry leaves. It's just amazing. We had another sprig of curry leaves. I'm just going to garnish it with the other sprig of curry leaves. Once again, this is a personal preference. If you don't like curry leaves that much, one sprig is enough, but you must put curry leaves in. And I'm also going to put some of the rice into this. As I said, you can put the raw rice in if you choose to and let the rice cook. Alternatively, you can use pre-cooked rice. Once again, good old basmati rice always does the trick because of the fragrance of it. And ladies and gentlemen, there you have it, my version of chicken mulligatawny soup. Hope you give this recipe a go during a cold winter's evening. And if it's successful, after you've watched my recipe, give me a good thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, Anglo-Indian Gupchup channel. Stand by for many more exciting and innovative recipes. Thank you and good night.